YouTube friends. I've been away. I'm dealing with a bit of an illness, but I couldn't. I wanted to post this in regard to Jordan Peterson, and a person I really like here is Gabor Maté, a medical doctor, actually. I think a psychiatrist, medical doctor. Anyway, he has some very insightful comments to make about Jordan Peterson, somebody I was alerted to because of his meteoric rise to fame in the alternate media, in the lecture circuits, in YouTube, all this kind of propagation of someone. And I'm going to preamble this by saying what Maté is pointing out is absolutely spot on. I had felt the same way, and the only thing I would like to add, is that when we encounter personalities such as Peterson, who are clearly propagated, he has handlers, he has people making sure that he's in the public eye. There's a reason for that. And as much as people may argue that he's right, left, center, he has positions, and the positions in a certain way don't really matter, because what Maté points out is that there is a fundamental essence to this person that communicates the dysfunction that this culture admires and loves. So I'll just play this, and I might have another comment at the end of it. Let's hear what Maté has to say.
And you're from Canada. Yeah. One of the biggest phenomenon of the last couple of years has been Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
What have you made of him, his rise, and what it says about the culture that people are so thirsting for what he's talking about?
Peterson, first of all, is very bright, extraordinarily articulate, and in some ways a compelling speaker. So he's an attractive figure in some ways. When I read him, I sense a lot of suppressed rage in him. In fact, I think his voice is choking with rage a lot of the time. It's interesting because he talks about rage, but you have to deal with it. I don't think he understands just how angry he is. And if you look at his websites, the comments are full of rage by his young acolytes. Now that's an energetic thing. That it's his energy that draws people as much as what he actually teaches. Secondly, he teaches repression. I mean, he very rightly takes an issue where somebody mandates a certain kind of language, and he very.
I'm just going to stop it here for a second because I don't want to forget this. What he just said is his young acolytes are attracted not necessarily to the message, but the person who's delivering it, a person who's full of rage. It confirms something in themselves, a frustration, an anger, a rage even, an aspect of their own possibly violence that is confirmed. Peterson sanctifies something in his followers that is quite untoward. So let me continue. I just wanted to comment because I didn't want to miss this point.
Rightly and righteously.
Let's go back a bit.
Will not be dictated to. Very rightly and righteously.
Right here.
Says about he takes an issue where somebody mandates a certain kind of language, and he very rightly and righteously says that I will not be dictated to about what language I'm going to use.
This is a good point.
For him.
Good for
I'm
him.
in favor of not mandating language.
Good for him.
On the one hand. On the other hand, he basically advocates repression. In his book, he talks about how an angry 2-year-old child needs to be sit by themselves until they get over it.
Wow.
Rather than understanding why a child would be angry at age 2, what frustrations they're having, and what human contact they need to help them move through that anger, he says repress the anger. So he's all about repressed anger, as far as I'm concerned.
Wow.
And it's very interesting how he talks about children. He talks about little varmints and little monsters and so on. I know that's meant to be humorous, but it's also a certain way of thinking of the young human child. So fundamentally, I see him as an agent of repression.
An agent of repression, and as a footnote to it, this agent of repression has told us that he is on 100% red meat diet. Imagine how that will fry your brain, to be on 100% red meat diet. The toxicity in this man's body cannot be repressed. It's going to come out one way or another. I'm not sure if Maté is aware of the fact that Peterson has revealed he's on 100% red meat diet because of some affliction his body. He says he doesn't like it, but whatever the case may be here, this will have consequences on his thoughts, on the way on his worldview, the way he sees the world. Let's continue.
He posing as an agent of libertarianism. Not to mention, he's got this bee in his bonnet about what he seems to consider to be conspiracies by left-wing intellectuals. They seem to be his bête noire. Being a left-wing intellectual myself, I like to talk to him sometimes. What are you so upset about, Jordan? What are you so afraid of? You know, he talks about these bloody Marxists. And he points out very accurately all the horror that occurred under so-called Marxist regimes, particularly in the Soviet Union. He's absolutely accurate about that. But then he promotes Christianity.
Obviously, the ideal and the practice are completely two different things when you're talking about Marxism as a practice or as an ideal. I'm not a Marxist. I'm not particularly versed in Marx's philosophy, but obviously there's always an important distinction between an ideal and the practice of something. So to just sort of flatly come out against Marxism is ridiculous from the point of view that you have to look at the practice and the idealism behind and how it was abused. Anyway.
Shall I tell him about the mass murders that occurred in the name of Christianity? Should I tell him about all the millions that were slaughtered in the names of the gentle Jesus? In other words, let's be fair about it. He seems to pick ideologies to attack and abhor and embrace other ideologies that are just as murderous in practice sometimes. It's a much more interesting question for me. What happened in Eastern Europe? How come, under an ideology that was meant to liberate people, so many people were oppressed?
Exactly.
I come from Eastern Europe. I was born in Hungary. He doesn't have to tell me about what it was like. But how about asking, how come a religious philosophy that was meant to promote love and acceptance and compassion has become such an agent of
Violence.
2 millennia of repression, oppression, and killing? So, can we be objective, or we're going to be simply tribal about it? I have a lot to say to Jordan, or a lot to, as much as I appreciate actually some of what he says, and as interesting as I find him, I think he's a very mixed figure, largely an agent of repression.
This is very important. I'm going to post this with. I don't think I have anything to add. This man is extraordinary. I really like him. The few encounters, the things that I've come across about Maté, makes me feel someone who is exposed, who has exposed himself to people out there. I mean, he has a personal life, but what I mean to say is it's a night and day situation between this person and somebody like Peterson, who's very hidden in his intellect. He's a brain on legs. This is a man who has a conscience, who lives his conscience or works at living his conscience to do the right thing, whereas Peterson has ideas that he projects into the external world, and the ideas are based on a toxic person, a person who is so toxic his voice even represses, hides him from unsuspecting people. People just listen to the words. You have to look beyond the words to get the feeling of a person, and obviously if you look at Maté, I mean, look at his face, I say to myself, this man has suffered, and he has, to some extent, come through it, and is helping others to come through their suffering and their shortcomings, and alerting us to those who are placed in front of us in order to create confusion and perpetrate the dysfunction in the name of, what is that, in the name of intellect, this academic, this Peterson, this academic, this, just a last note, if you look at his icon that he uses at the beginning of his videos, it is so completely neurotic, virtually psychotic, the way this jumbled mess reforms itself into a bigger jumble mess. This is his icon. This is like visual people. I'm a visual person, so I identify with the visuals that are put out there by someone, and Peterson's YouTube icon, or what is that, his branding, the way he brands himself with the animation that he has before his videos, is just a complete total exposure of a dysfunctional person. Anyway, I think I'm back. I'm sort of feeling better. I think I'm getting over stuff, but it's going to take a while longer. It's been quite debilitating, what I've been dealing with. All the best to you, YouTube friends.